Good afternoon, top badminton fans. Today we're joined on this Sunday afternoon at 12:05. I'm a little bit late for Holly Newall. Here we are. Holly, say good afternoon, Holly Newall. Here we go.
Good afternoon, Martin. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm just trying to get you on screen. My computer's very, very, very slow. I really need to invest in some new technology. But yeah, I'm doing all right. Sun's shining, and what have you been up to? You obviously work very hard still, as well as training and stuff, right?
Yeah, I'm still training once or twice a day at Coburn Centre due to the Scotland being shut, and I've also got a part-time job at Domino's.
Really?
So in the evenings, I'm pretty much always working at Domino's. Like my time is always filled by training, Domino's, or even university work. So I've not got much to relax.
What do you do at uni?
I do maths.
Really?
Yeah.
Hold on a second. You just reminded me of something. Did you want to be a dentist?
Yeah, I did.
Really?
Yeah, I love visiting the dentist. I find it so interesting. I'm obsessed. I did my work experience there for a week, and once I worked there, I want to do this as a career. This is amazing.
Yeah, my wife's a dental nurse.
Oh.
She's a dental nurse in pupils, and she's the same, obsessed with teeth. Are you like her? Do you spend a long time cleaning your teeth? Oh, she's obsessed.
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But I always brush them twice a day.
She has a cup of coffee, clean my teeth. I'm going to go out for a walk. I've just enjoyed an orange now. I've just cleaned my teeth. Oh, God's sake. And then we'll be lying in bed, just really not passionate at all. We'll be lying in bed and she'll be looking at Instagram shots of people with the worst decay in the world and some dentist picking out bits of this.
It's quite satisfying watching stuff like that. Like it's the same I watch. Everyone knows I've got a weird fascination with Indian head massages on YouTube. Like I watch it to try and fall asleep. Pimple popping. Everyone knows. I find that so satisfying. I find it so satisfying. I don't really know. Like it's just something I like enjoy watching. Makes me fall asleep.
So have you got a gag reflex? Are you bad at? Is there nothing?
Oh. Very bad gag reflex.
Oh, that kind of stuff. That pimples. But Becky's the same. She's into that dentistry. But the people. Oh, I had a guy in today. Had the worst teeth. I was like, stop talking to me about that, would you please? Oh, look at this. You know, I just find it incredible. I couldn't do it. Why did you stop? Why didn't you follow it up? What was that? Was it grades? What was that? Or
I searched into it because I went to Glasgow Sport. We only could do three hires and the rest was sport. And to become a dentist, you have to have five A's in the one sitting. So it was impossible. And I also didn't really get the grades.
So you could only do three in a year, right?
Yep. The School of Sport.
So could you have stayed another year and done another 3? Is that the thing?
You could have stayed for a seventh year. That was only exceptional circumstances. But obviously I left school in fourth year and went to main school for 2 years.
Why so?
And then had a few problems. To say. Just I was in and out of trouble in school constantly.
Always distracted and stuff.
I was just like constantly hyperactive, just causing problems and being too loud and disagreeing with things. And it just came to the conclusion that no longer there.
School's not for you. Let's get on the question. So, your full name, is it just Holly Newall?
Full name's Holly Parker Newall.
No. Where does that come from?
But Parker's from my mum's side, and obviously Newall's my dad's name.
Yeah, cool. How old are you, Holly?
I'm 22.
22. Wow, you're very young. Are you the youngest? No, I don't think you're the youngest yet. Yeah, I was trying to get Callum Smith to come on. He's really young. He's like 18 or something, isn't he?
Yeah, Callum 19. But I'll try and convince him to come on after I've been on.
Yeah, do that. Do for sure. He's in the Borders as well. He's from near Duns, and that.
Yes.
Yeah, so I know Peter Hardy was very instrumental with that. I don't know if you know that name, Peter Hardy. He was a kind of very well known coach in Duns, and he's brought on like so many players in that area. But his son, Pete Hardy's son, is called also Peter as well. He's a good friend of mine, and he was There's a lot of good players in Duns. I don't know why. I don't know what.
I've never heard of him before.
Have you not? No, he's Callum. Callum will know him for sure. And you're from Mauchlin.
I am indeed. The mighty Mauchlin.
So I've talked to somebody else that said it was like it's like one of those places where there's just tons of great sports people come out of Mauchlin, right? What is that about? Is it just the sports?
We used to have a games hall with obviously Mauchlin Games Hall, and I think everyone went there after school because it's a small village and there only is one sports centre. So they were doing things like short tennis, bouncy castle, kids club, arts and crafts, badminton, even tennis. So there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of variety going on. And I think like after school sometimes there'd be like 60, 70 kids there. Like it was madness. Yeah, it was really big at the time. But now, unfortunately, it's been demolished.
Why did that? Why did that happen? Did people stop going? You know, was there a time when that was the case, and it hasn't been like that, or did it continue to be? You know, when you were there was obviously 60 or 70, but do you think it stopped, and that's why they've got rid of it? Because there's no demand, or what do you think of that?
I think it went downhill when Tommy left. Tommy moved to the Badminton Club in Hurlford. And then obviously he was like the heart and soul of Mauchlin Games Hall. He's worked there for years. And another woman called Mo who sadly died of cancer like years back. And yeah, I think after Tommy left it just went downhill. It was just losing interest. And then they weren't getting the numbers, they weren't getting the money in. And they just decided to knock it down.
And was it always badminton for you?
No, at the start it wasn't. It was tennis for me at the start. I loved playing tennis, but then I got introduced to badminton by Tommy, of course. Yeah. And he says, "Oh, why don't you give this a try? It's quite similar to tennis, but it's a shuttlecock."
Yeah.
And then I went to the games hall after school with the older girls and boys. Yeah. Started playing like every day, and I enjoyed it more and more. And then Tommy says, "Why don't you enter a competition, Holly? See how you do." And then I ended up winning that competition.
Really?
And I'd never really looked back from there, but I kind of wish I played tennis, because if I did, I think I'd be quite rich.
I don't know. You do what you do, don't you? And was that kind of I suppose when you're at school and you're maybe not doing that well in classes and all that kind of stuff, and you're disruptive and all that stuff, and you go away and you find something that you're really good at, and that joy of winning something is like a drug, isn't it? It's like, wow, I feel that's so good.
I think for me, sport calmed me down, really? And it burnt my excess energy off. Because I think like I'm very, very hyperactive. Everyone knows I'm always outgoing, loud. Yeah, I could never sit still for 5 minutes. Like, I just don't know what it is. I'm just constantly wanting to do something. I hate sitting down, like reading something.
Watching a film. Okay, watching a film. 3 hour film.
So what did you say?
3 hour film. Would you sit and watch a film?
Oh no. No. If you put John Wick on, I'll sit and watch that all day, because it's like action, it's like headshots, it's just right up my street, like very, very intense.
And do you do any other sports now? What do you do when you're not playing badminton, other than working in Domino's?
I walk my friend's dog.
Gee.
He's like literally my favourite person. He's called Angus. I love the wee dog. Like, he's my best pal, honestly. I've tried to convince my parents to get me a dog, but it's just not happening.
That's the dream. That's the dream. That is. The dream is going to somebody's house and taking their dog. I've got a friend who's the same. He lost his wife recently, sadly, and he says, "Oh, I love dogs," but he's involved in football and he's got family in north of England, and he says, "I would love a dog," he says, "but I'm just never at home enough, and it wouldn't be fair." I says, "But the dream would be like, do you know what you should do? You should be a dog walker. That's what you should do. You should get a job as a dog walker." And like just go around to folks' houses and take their dog for 10 or an hour, say.
I know. I always take him maybe 2 or 3 times a week, because she has a little girl called Amelia, and who's 2. Yeah, so I don't have to help her out, but I also get to see Angus every now and then. And my parents also join me sometimes, which is
that's nice.
Which is good. Yeah, like a family walk. But I think when I'm not playing badminton, I'm either just relaxing in my house, like listening to music. I even play I play the Xbox.
Do you?
Such a boy thing to say, but yeah, I do love gaming. And
what game?
Just Call of Duty.
Do you?
Like all day, every day.
My son's is a gamer, and he's got his own channel, called Scopiolo on YouTube, and he's a journalist. He's at uni in Edinburgh. He's 19, and he's doing computer science at Heriot-Watt. But he got a part-time job. He's always really good at English, right? He's always been good at story making and stuff like that. Writing was always good, but he's also always been a techie, kind of like myself, a bit of a gadget guy. So he started. So he's at uni, and for some reason he's got like, I think he's got 3,500 followers or something like that. So does pretty well. He makes a few quid from it, so he got a job writing articles, video gaming articles, for a company called thedirect.com, which is a internet-based magazine effectively for video games and for Marvel, Call of Duty. He's a Call of Duty maniac. He's he's all over it, and he's done a lot of the custom egg hunt, they call them, don't they? Is it egg hunts? That someone like that, isn't it? Isn't there something where when a new map comes out, they've got to complete it and you've got to. I don't really understand it.
I don't really know. I'm not overly like.
Not geeky.
I'm not a geek. I'm not geeky enough. I just play it to like pass time and just something I enjoy doing, because I think when I'm playing it, I know I'm playing against boys, and when I beat them, they probably don't know it's a female. That it's like they're battling against.
Holly, is that how your brain works?
No,
always try to be the boys. Is that it?
Boys hate losing to females. It's just a fact. They just don't like it.
And when you go back to badminton, when you started playing badminton, was there a boy that you played against? A lot.
Not one in particular boy, but there's a few. There was also Adam.
Yes.
Gregor McVean.
He's a bit older, right? He's a bit older, Adam, right?
Yeah, Adam's. I think Adam's 25
Is he?
now. I think, and Gregor's older than Adam, who's now obviously coaching in Hungary.
Oh, really?
Doing Alan's old job. And yeah, he's been there for a couple of years now. I think.
He's from Mauchlin as well.
Alan, yeah, he is from Mauchlin. But there's also some other players who represented Scotland in the senior years who I could play against. So I was always playing against people who were older than me.
Good.
And I think that's why at the juniors I was so good.
Yeah.
Because I was taller, I was stronger, I was playing against boys, girls who were older than me.
Yeah. So
I think that was like a major contributing factor as to why I was so good when I was younger.
And how do you feel about badminton? Do you love it? I mean, you obviously play it a lot. Does it feel like a job, or do you still love it? Like when you were young and you were going to a club after school, how do you feel about badminton? When you have to go training twice a day, say, and then how do you feel about badminton?
Of course I love it. Like it's a love-hate relationship with badminton, of course, because sometimes you wake up for training, you're like, oh, yeah, again, here we go. It's the same thing over and over again. Yeah. And then when a training's going well, you love it again. Yeah. So it's constantly love-hate. But I think for me, there was a time, maybe 3 years ago, it got taken away from me. And then I considered just packing it in for good.
Really?
And then I came back to it and I was like, no, I can't give this up.
Sorry, but can you elaborate on that? Why did it get taken away from you? Can you tell me?
I think when I was younger, we had, obviously you have to pass the fitness test, and everyone knows I'm not the fittest.
Really? Is that true?
Person in the squad.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I think this was about 3 or 4 years ago. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't pass the fitness test.
Really?
And I wasn't allowed in until I passed, and it took me about 6 to 9 months past. Really? Yeah, so I attended college during that time, and I kept up with the competitions, but I was losing first round in Scotland, which I never do.
Yes.
Like I used to get to the finals or winning, and then for me when I started losing, I was just like, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep losing to people who I should be beating. So I just completely stopped for that period of time and just worked on fitness. Went to a running club twice a week.
Did you? Good, yeah.
Had a coach who I can't remember his name was Kenny Wales. He helped people run for like Commonwealth Games, British Athletics. He was a really good runner, and I think I was the fittest I've ever been after attending that running club for 6 months. Yeah. And it made me realise, like, why would you want to lose something like that I love so much over something that's so easily fixed?
And how much is that? Like much is that in the your training every day? How much of that is that? How much is fitness? How much is busting your gut? Is that happen? Do you get that in your training? Is that part of it where you're really kind of really physically push yourself, or is it mostly technique? Do you feel?
No, I think it's more pushing yourself now that Alan's came.
Yes.
He's wanting to do like a load more cooperation, high intensity, like so we're constantly like above game pace.
Yeah, really good.
So so I feel like now the fitness is massive, especially in senior badminton.
Yeah.
Like it's just all down to fitness, and obviously you've got your skills. The majority is just sheer hard work, it's just sheer graft.
Yeah.
Something that I know very little about, but I'm starting to get a lot better at it.
And I'm quite surprised about that, because you talk about how hyperactive you are. That normally that's the kind of person that's normally very good at the physical pushing, because you need to be absolutely knackered to stop yourself from being hyper. You know that you'll get a chemical buzz from that, right? From the intensity stuff. No.
No,
do you know?
From fitness I do not get a chemical buzz.
Do you know?
No. I absolutely hate it. Yeah. Like hard work scares me. Like, I'm scared in case my body can't handle it. That's what I think scares me. It's not that I can't do it. It's just it's mind over matter.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So like your body can't really get any more tired than what it is. Like, your legs are not going to fall off if you keep running and running and running. It's just your brain's just getting tired and wants to give up. And that's when you just got to start pushing through.
Do you know there's a stat that your brain needs 20 minutes sleep a night and your body needs 8 hours? It's your brain.
Really?
Yeah, your brain only needs 20 minutes. It's your body that needs the hours, and that's your physical stuff is the most important side of it. There was I interviewed a guy yesterday, an ex-Welsh international, Phil Sutton, who played in Wales, and the standard he's late 50s. And the standard in Wales, he reached the top of Wales, right? So he got as good as he could possibly get in Wales, and then he technically ran out of competition. He moved to Cardiff and he played with a guy called Lynn, who's anyway. So there's basically at the time there were 2 exceptional players in Wales, really, and he ended up moving to London. He met a guy in Wimbledon, Badminton, at a centre, sports centre. What did he call it again? He called it a lab or something. He called it. And anyway, so he met a guy who was a performance guy, and he was an SAS trainer, the guy. And he says, "Do you think you're fit?" And he says, "Yeah, I think I'm fit." And he says, "Right, come with me then." And they went on a training session. He ended up just doing physical stuff. Also, there's a guy, Andy Cook. Do you know that name from Grangemouth?
That name rings a bell. Rings a bell.
Yeah. He is not an exceptional badminton player himself. Was never of a massive standard, but coached the best in the country in Scotland from Grangemouth. But he's a fitness coach. He's a fitness coach. You know, it's all about exercise. It was all about busting yourself. Yeah. You know, you go to a training set. Jim Mailer, who was again a singles player from the day, would go to badminton to his coaching at night, and they would just go out and run for the whole 2 hours, and they would say, "Where's the badminton at?" No, we're just going to run. We're going to absolutely bust it up that hill, back down again, up down. You know, at night, as you say, that's. But what are you like with a diet? Are you good? Are you healthy? Or what are you like discipline wise?
I'm healthy at home because my mum.
You work in Domino's, Holly.
I know. Like over lockdown, I was eating 120 pizzas. Yeah. It was just getting a bit ridiculous. I think because also we weren't training as much, I was just eating. But I think overall, my diet's pretty good. Is
it? You've got discipline. Do you have things? Do you look at things and think, "I'm just going to have that, whatever," or you disciplined and say, "No, I can't have that"?
Oh no, I'm not disciplined at all. You? If I want it, I'll eat it. Yeah. There's no point in me lying, because everyone knows that if I want those crisps, I'll have those crisps. If I want that burger, I'll have that burger.
Yeah. So well, there's
no point denying it.
But don't you think that? I don't know about you. You know, if I'm gonna go for a run, or for whatever it is I'm gonna do on the Saturday night, if I do certain things on the Saturday, whatever I've eaten on the Saturday affects on the Sunday. Are you aware of that? You know, if you eat badly, are you aware that you don't perform? You don't feel like you're as good as you would be if you hadn't had what you eat the night before, or do you just feel the same?
See, I had this conversation with our nutritionist.
Aye.
She said that, for example, if you had a Chinese, you would feel rubbish in the next training session. Yes. Or a competition, like you shouldn't eat that in like competition period or training period. But I says, but how do you know like your body doesn't react differently or just stays the same? Like I could have a burger for dinner, and then the next day I feel fine.
Yeah, I don't think.
So I
don't think you can say it could be rubbish.
Else.
I don't think you could say you'd be rubbish. But I think what you could say is that you wouldn't be as good. As good.
Yeah, you wouldn't
as
be
good.
Yeah.
All of that. I think it's no. I think it's. I guess I interviewed the Tom Edwin Mauchlin, who's the nutritionist for Scottish Rugby, for the Scottish Rugby team. Oh. Right, and that was a couple of weeks ago. And I said, how do you do it? Because you know what rugby players are like. They're massive, right? They're big guys.
Yeah,
some of these are big guys. And I said, how do you do it? I said, you go back 10 years, rugby players were like big, right? They were big guys, right? And you think, how could somebody run around for like 2 hours like that size, right? And they're not like that now. If you watch it on the TV now, if you watch the Six Nations, they're all ribbed, right? There are absolutely nothing off them. And you think they're really, they're so strong and fit. And I said, how do you control that? How do you, as a rugby coach, nutritionist, how do you control it? He says, what I do is, he says that everywhere that they're in hotels, obviously at the moment because of COVID, they're in a hotel for weeks during the Six Nations, right? For weeks. And he says, I get up at 5 a.m. He says, I go to the hotel. And I put food everywhere they turn. Everywhere the players turn. Every corner they go around. Everywhere they go to get this. Everywhere they go to watch that. There's food in front of them. But I choose what it is. It's healthy. It's apples and bars. And he says they want to eat all the time. They do. They want to eat all the time, naturally. But he says my job is to make sure that what they eat is what I want them to eat. It's not what they want to eat. And I was also talking to them about that discipline of because I put that to him. I says, how do you you can influence somebody when you're standing in front of them, right? It's like your nutritionist can say to you, Holly, do not eat that. Do not eat that. It's really bad for you. That pizza is going to absolutely... But at the end of the day, when you go home or you go to Domino's and the box is sitting in front of you and somebody says, I says, where's the discipline? He says, well, they just have to be. I think you've just got to be. I guess it's all... But I think you definitely need to feel... If you've been eating healthy, and it's a big package, isn't it? If you've been eating healthy and you've been doing loads of exercise, physical exercise, then you feel good and you'd probably be good, I would guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. You know better than me. So, okay, let's go on. Brothers and sisters?
No, only child.
Only child, nice.
Only child.
That's good.
Quality, not quantity.
Alright, and what I was going to say is either your family into badminton or tennis or anything?
No, my parents have never played sport in their life.
No. Family, anything like that? Any cousins, anything like that, who was into sport with at all? Anything like that? No family influences at all?
I had an uncle who used to swim for Scotland.
Really cool.
Yeah, he made the Commonwealth Games team. I can't remember what year it was. It was years back. But he couldn't go because he broke his ankle.
Oh my God.
And obviously it affected swimming. But he also played rugby as well. So I think... Out of the family, he's the only one that does sport. He's my dad's brother.
Right, cool. Yeah.
And I've now got a little cousin in Australia called Heather, who's 10. She now plays netball.
Really?
And she loves it. Because obviously in Australia, netball was huge.
Yeah, it's massive, isn't it?
One of their national sports. So.
Yeah. Caitlin Pringle. Is that what Caitlin Pringle does?
Yeah, she now plays netball. I think she plays for, is it the Sirens now? I'm not really sure.
I interviewed her and I get a really hard time off her because I always forget it's been netball and volleyball. And she said,
I know, I'm the same.
Is it netball? Volleyball, is that the one we hit it with a hand or what is that? No, that's beach ball. She's raging with me. She's always raging with me. Is that stupid sport when you stick one foot on the ground? You can't move. You know that they have that rule, don't they? Travelling. You're travelling.
It's like this, travelling. But I can imagine Caitlin put you in your place.
For
saying that.
I like it. She's really tall as well. She'd be good at that, right?
Yeah, she can just stand and just put her arms up and no one would
She
get
sent
past.
me a video of it and I was like... Yeah, she gives me a hard time. So, what age were you when you first started?
I think I was... I'm going to say 8. I can't remember 100%.
And there was just that after school thing, as you said, you were doing something...
Yeah.
You were doing tennis, did you say, in the hall? Like soft tennis?
Yeah, we're doing all the sports in the hall because I only went there because it was cheaper than childcare at the time.
Yeah.
Because my dad was away. My dad was a deep sea diver. So he was away offshore constantly, so he was never really. He was always away for like months on end in Thailand, Vietnam. It was constantly away.
So tell me about that job. What is a deep sea diver?
It's just
Sorry, it's my dog.
In the background.
Cody, shut up! Shut up! Hey! I think it's the post or something. Shut up! This is so professional. Shut up! It's gone. Sorry, yeah, carry on. Yeah, what is a deep sea diver?
So, I don't really know how to describe it as how he would, but in my eyes, I just see it as he puts on a heavy helmet, an oxygen tank, and went under the sea to try and, I think, weld pipes. And I don't really know the details. Oh.
This is my wee dog. Oh, it's a good dog.
Is it a boy or a girl?
He's a boy. Skipper key, Cody. Good boy. Good boy.
Oh, he's cute. He's not as cute as Angus,
He's
though.
very cute. Well, look at his tail. Look at his tail. Hold on a second. Oh, come on, Cody. He's got a big waggling tail. He's got a big tail that sticks up. Skipper key. Go away. Sorry, I'm such an amateur. Yeah, so diving, he puts a big mask on. Go on.
He puts a big heavy helmet on, an oxygen tank, and he goes crazy feet under the water.
For what? Go on.
Weld
Good,
things.
right, okay. I think is that a radiographer? Is that where they go down and fix pipes, that weld pipes and stuff at the bottom of the sea? Is that what that is?
It's not always just pipes, but he was classed as a saturation diver.
Wow.
One of the highest divers you could be. But I don't know if you've seen the documentary on Netflix called Last Breath.
No.
It's about a diver. Can't remember if he was Scottish or English. That he pretty much was diving down the bottom of the seabed, and the cord which attaches to him and the bell got stuck on like a structure under the water, and it snaps the cord off.
Wow.
And he gets left on the seabed because obviously the boat's travelling opposite way, and he's left, so he can't get up because he's so far down and he's running out of oxygen. And he pretty much accepts he's going to die. Like
what was that called?
The Last Breath.
I'll watch that. I love that kind of thing.
It's very, very interesting. So the guy dies, but because
Cheers, Holly.
I know I've just ruined it.
Maybe I'll scrap that.
No, but he dies, and then
Stop it! Stop telling me any about it.
He comes back to life. He survives.
Stop telling me any more about it. Have you seen the one with the scuba diving in the Caribbean, and they go down and there's a big party going down, and they go down looking for sharks and all that stuff, and then they come back up, and the two of them get separated somehow, and basically the boat owner counted the wrong number of people, and they missed two. So, and there's a true story, and there's basically the boat went back in again, and they were stuck, and there were sharks about, and it was like hours. It was like one of them real life films, right? Hours in the sea.
It's scary. The sea's scary.
Oh,
like when I went to Australia last year for Christmas.
Nice.
And we went to the beach on Christmas Day, and obviously we're in the water, and then all of a sudden like sirens start going off, and then helicopters up above, and then it's like, can everyone like leave the water? There's a hammerhead 20 metres from shore.
Wow.
So obviously I've never been around sharks, but I can tell you I was out of that water.
I know.
Rapid. Like, not a chance. Like sharks are interesting, but they're just scary as well to look at.
I agree, and you watch these things and you think, I interviewed Richard. What's his name? Australian. He was the head of squash in Australia, and he says, "Oh, I just lived not far from the sea." And he says, "Oh, the sea's absolutely beautiful." He said, "I wouldn't go in." He says, "Oh, the sea's." That says what, you go down the beach and it's like a beautiful day, blue sky, the sea's as calm as you like. He said, "Oh no, I wouldn't go in." What?
It's far too dangerous. You don't know, like, you can't see anything coming.
How frustrating is that? Let's get back to questions. We're getting distracted. Okay, talking about sharks now. It's mad. Do you remember your first ever racket?
I do. It was a cheap Tesco one that my mum and dad bought me.
What was it?
Yeah, like I was never into like massive brands. Like I've never used a Yonex racket in my life. Never. I used a Tesco racket, and then I got a Carlton one that was, I think my mum and dad bought me that for doing quite well in a competition. Cool. And then I got gifted second-hand Ashway.
And was it a motivation before the tournament? Would they say to you before it, if you do well, get you a new racket?
Probably, but I can't remember. Like, it was years and years ago. They probably did say, "Oh, if you win this, I'll get you something." a better racket. But yeah, I think I've only really had maybe 4 rackets in my whole career.
Yeah.
Obviously, I had the Tesco one, a Carrollton, and then I got the second-hand Ashway ones passed down from a former Scottish player, and then I signed with Forza when I was 12.
Really?
And I've always been with them. I'm not the kind of person who constantly changes rackets.
On you?
No, I always like to keep the same racket.
How many rackets do you have in your sports bag?
Right now, I think 6 because I've snapped about 4.
What, off the deck?
Yeah, there's been a few times I've like went like that and it's just snapped in half, or I've had it off the floor.
Is that what you like? Are you still quite hot-headed? Even in training, are you hot-headed?
Oh yeah. Ingo used to tell me off all the time for being hot-headed. Quite a few of the players are hot-headed.
I think you've got to have a bit. You've got to have a bit, right?
You've got to. It's better to get it out in training than competition, because obviously in training you'll get carded. In competitions you'll get carded.
Yes.
In training you'll just get told off by Ingo.
Yes.
They can't stand, especially Bob cannot stand like temper, like racket violence. Bob hates that.
Especially, I think it's one of them things as well, especially because there's nothing worse than, as a spectator and a hobbyist, to think that, you know, somebody that has to buy all their rackets, and you see these, tennis is unbelievable. You see them melt it off the deck, and they couldn't try harder to smash it to pieces, right?
Oh, I know.
And you think these tennis rackets, like 250 quid a racket, and they're banging it off the deck, and you think, you know, everybody else has to pay 200 odd quid for a tennis racket, and these guys get them for nothing. And I mean, I dread to think what the sponsors think. I just dread to think.
Yeah, they'll get big fines in tennis though. Like, you always see top players racket abuse, but the one person I've never seen abuse a racket, and is my sporting role model, is Rafael Nadal.
Yeah, it's true.
It's true. He's never ever damaged a racket, because he said it's not the racket that's making the mistake, it's him.
But interestingly, he doesn't lose the plot, and you do.
I know. I don't understand.
He's your role model, and you don't do anything that he does. You do.
Yeah, he's my all-time favourite. Like, I've met some other tennis players, and I've seen like Djokovic, Federer, Murray, Wawrinka, Eugenie Bouchard play, but I've never seen Nadal. So hopefully I can try and see him before he retires.
Yeah.
But everyone knows I'm a Nadal super fan.
Yeah.
Like, I'm obsessed with Nadal.
Yeah, me too. I've got a Rafa hat. Yeah, I'm a Wilson top. Okay. What was the name of the first club you're at?
First club was a Spanish one.
Was it?
What was it called? Yeah, it was a Spanish one. It was my friend Mirren. She came over. Well, I didn't know her at the start. She came over for a school exchange thing, for a couple of weeks when I was at the School of Sport. And she came over. She stayed at my house, and then we became great friends. And I went back over to her house, and then they asked me if I wanted to play for her club in Spain.
Cool.
And I can't even remember what it's called now, but I remember we went to Ibiza when I was 16. No, that's what I remember.
What age were you when you went to Spain to stay with them? Young.
I was 15.
How cool is that? 15. What a great experience. Tell me, how did you get into the School of Sport? How does that work?
I think I was playing like just local competitions in Scotland.
Yeah.
And
all over Scotland, Holly, or? Yeah,
all over Scotland, like Aberdeen, Edinburgh, Lanarkshire, like Ayrshire, everywhere in Scotland. I think England as well. We played some under 13 golds at the time.
How did you travel? How did you get to travel? Who took you?
My parents took me everywhere. Cool. It's always banged my mum and dad
Good.
when I was younger.
Good, yeah.
But they just got noticed, and I think they actually spoke to my parents rather than me.
Yes.
Because originally my mum and dad wanted to send me to a private school, the one in Ayr. I don't know if you've heard it. It's called Wellington Grammar.
I've heard of that, yeah.
Oh. That's the one down my way. And then we obviously got approached by Craig to say, would you want to come to the School of Sport?
Yeah.
And I think they were a bit like, oh, I don't know, it's in Glasgow. I don't want Holly travelling that far herself at that young age. But then they said, don't worry, you get like a travel pass. There's other people travelling from this area. And I think I just went with it. It was a good opportunity for my badminton at the time. Yeah, I think that's really how it happens. Like, some people put in applications forms, but for me, I didn't put in an application form. I got approached first.
And you know the Wellington school thing. When you were at the school age thing, were you thinking about how you're going to play badminton if you were at that private school? Did that must have come into your head as well? Thinking, if I go to that, what badminton will I get?
Actually, at the time, no, because I didn't know I might have been going to a private school until a couple of years later on. They didn't tell me, because I'd have probably went, no, I'm not going to a private school. I'm not posh enough. But
yeah, good.
I think that when they told me, I think the concern was because obviously private schools are mostly hockey. Like, that's the stigma of private schools. Yeah. The majority of them, or rugby.
Yeah.
So I don't think that thought really came into my head at the time.
I didn't know that about the School of Sport, and about the fact that you can only do 3 hires because you need to spend time on sport. I didn't know that was the case. I thought it was just, even, I guess, I don't know, I think of Sam, and he had 3 periods, and that's how it works, isn't it? So whenever you didn't have a class, right, you went down to the sports. Mm-hmm. Is that right? Or was it scheduled? Yeah. And how did your schedule tie in with other people's schedule? How did they know you were going to be there at 11 o'clock, say, or somebody else or whoever? How did they schedule that? Do you know?
I think they planned it out in advance. Like, I think they would also, the School of Sport would speak to the main school, right, to say, look, the badminton players are going to be training at this time.
Really?
But I think for my whole year, I think everyone in the School of Sport at that time, for all sports, trained at the same time.
Right.
Just to make it easier. So then, if, say for example, we had RE, like we had like 3 periods of badminton or S&C, and then we'd have maybe 2 classes. We'd always try and be together, just so like everyone is in the same class. Because in the majority, when I was in like 1st, 2nd, 3rd year, everyone was literally, like, my classes were just filled with School of Sport people.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And until about 4th year, you started mixing with the normal school, as people called it back then. Because they thought we play sport, we're special. But it was good. You can, like, if you had enough of the classes, you'd be like, okay, guys, I'm away training now. So
it's good, isn't it?
It was quite relaxed. I enjoyed it. It's a good setup they've got.
Yeah, I think it's exceptional. I think it's a one-off, isn't it? I don't think it's anywhere else, is it, in Scotland?
No, I think it's a one-off.
Craig was telling me that people travel from all over. People come from Aberdeen, all sorts of stuff. People travel all over to go down there. Oh
yeah, it's all over the UK, all over Scotland. Sorry, to come to the School of Sport. It's a good opportunity, especially from. I had a friend, Jenny from Orkney, who's a long distance runner, right, and she said that there was nothing in Orkney for running.
Really?
So she joined the school in 5th year, just for the last 2 years, just to try and make her running career a little bit better.
Yeah.
To get a bit more training, like what she would get back home in Orkney, have people to run with, coaches, regular physio, and so it's a good setup.
Yeah, brilliant. Shuttles. So your first ever shuttles, were they feathers or plastics in that at Mauchlin? Adam would have told me as well.
I'm going to say plastic,
yeah, purely
because they're cheaper and you can't really ruin them as easy.
It's great that you could go every single day. I mean, that's a thing. That's what makes the difference. You know, people that play every single day end up loving it. Victor Axon, you look at him, and every spare minute, he lived quite close to the hall. He virtually had the keys. He just went up by himself and banged the shuttlecock off the wall. I don't know if you watched. He had a documentary on, and it was this dog. I swear to God, he goes mental. Who was your first coach? Shut up.
My first coach was Tommy Mulgrew at Mauchlin Games Hall. He'd been coaching there for many years, and I think that's when he's very passionate about it. His training techniques were different. Just the way he made me understand it so much easier. Like, it just falls into place, if that makes sense.
How do you mean?
It's just some of the like basic exercises. Like, for one of them, like, we made us stand up against the wall and just have a racket like there, and he would try and hit us in like the head, in the head, like, just to practice your racket carriage. Yeah. So if you like move your racket about, just basic things like that makes you practice something. So like you don't realise how big racket carriage is now.
Yeah. Well, just keeping the racket head up.
Yeah, keeping the racket head up. It's just loads of different fun games. Like, it could be serious and then fun games, and just it's quite hard to describe how his techniques and how he managed to make it such a nice, warm, like successful place. Like Tommy's obviously well known. Like that Mauchlin Games Hall is pretty much Tommy's second home, I think.
Really?
Like everyone knows who Tommy is in Mauchlin or in Ayrshire. He's such like a legend of the game for Mauchlin.
Was he a good player?
I don't think so. I can remember him saying that he wasn't ever the best player, but you don't always have to be the best player to be a good coach.
No. Do you feel that? Do you think that?
I think from what he told me, he said that coaching suited him better than playing. And for some people, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Like for me, I'm now starting to coach a little bit.
Oh yeah.
I don't really coach that much. I'm taking maybe three or four people, but it's definitely different from playing because you've got to try and break everything down into small steps. If they don't understand it, you've got to tell them where they're going wrong, how to fix it.
And do you have the patience for it? Are you quite patient?
Surprisingly, yes, when it comes to coaching. Because obviously they're younger, like they're not just going to get it straight away. So it takes time, takes practice, and everyone's going to make mistakes. Like I'm not perfect as well. I still make mistakes. So.
Yeah. Do you think that? So, I think it's a different thing. So like to teach somebody that when you're not particularly good, to teach somebody that you really kind of respect them and all that kind of stuff, and they've got good theory and all that stuff. But I think there's a different kind of different kind of coach who a kind of play that reacts best to be coached by somebody that's done it and that's done well. You know, some places, there's some people that really, like Martin Campbell, when I interviewed him, and he was coached by Kenny Middlemas, and he said, to be fair, he was as good as he had got to where I wanted to be in badminton. So when I was coached by him, I really worked hard to try and beat him, and whatever he said is what I did because he had done it and all that kind of stuff. So there's two different kind. Andy Cook is the same again, very physical, not a great player, but very physical, but very well respected for his techniques and changing techniques all the time about how different. I guess that's a real challenge as a coach, isn't it? So when you go every single day, twice a day, to go and find something, what we're going to do today, is it the same? Is it different? And does it change a lot?
For me, coaching or our
training, your training environment. So when you go to training, is it quite a similar thing or?
It's constant repetitions. It's just you've got to nail the basics.
Yeah.
Like everyone thinks because obviously you come out of juniors into senior, you've got to start doing more complex exercises. When in reality, it's not. It's just more like longer rallies, more shots, more shuttles, more intensity, like faster. That's pretty much just what it is. Really, it's just constant repetitions of not making mistakes because the training is very, very repetitive.
Is it?
I think every week we have like the same Monday session, same Tuesday session, same Wednesday session, and so on. We know what like we're getting, but each day is like different. But if that makes sense, it's like every Monday's the same.
Yes.
But Tuesday's different. So
is there a physical? Yeah. There's a physical bit, and I guess there's a tactical bit as well, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm quite interested in like for doubles and mix and things like that. Something that I was never really coached was rotation, which is it's a different thing, isn't it? Rotation. I'm fascinated with that when I watch it on TV and on YouTube and stuff. The rotation that you clearly learn that rotation when somebody steps in at the net, the kind of middle of the court, and they step in to and that rotation I think is it's an art. I mean,
rotations, like obviously because I've played singles since
I was going to say
my junior days, but recently now I've had quite a lot of success in women's doubles. Even though I don't train it, I've never really practiced rotation. I think it's just getting to know your partner, like because I'm now playing with Lauren. She's also another singles player.
Really?
We can both move freely around each other. So like we can our spatial awareness, we can see. I can see where Lauren is, she can see where I am. So it's just a matter of just trying to cover your partner as much as possible. But I think for the doubles guys, it's a lot more complex for them to like know when to step out, when for their partner to come in, rotate round.
Yes.
Like if someone's receiving serve, where to hit to, or for them when to move round their partner. Yeah. So like doubles it's all very complex. I don't really know too much about
it's
it.
technical.
I just play.
I think there's a lot of psychology, a lot of thought goes into it and creativity, and I think it's it's where you just play power that you lose. I think you need to have a bit of everything. But I think you would have got better at that from playing with older people. Like club badminton, when you play with older people are generally I would say a bit lazier. Probably lazier and not as fit. Obviously not as fit. So they try and finish the rallies quicker. So they need to be more creative to finish it quicker. So as you get older, you start slices and these kind of things, and really. Trying to finish the rally early. I think that's the thing. It's rather than kind of, what singles like. You bust it.
Yeah. It's quite interesting you've said that, actually, because my style of play is I want to win the rally quick. I want to hit a winner straight away. I don't want to force the rally, because I know I can rally at the start, but I'm not as fit as some of the other girls on the circuit.
Correct.
So I know I'm going to start fatiguing a lot quicker than them. So my plan is, okay, I'll play at a high tempo at the start.
Yeah.
I'll try and go hell for leather at the start, so I can try and show them I'm coming out the blocks quick.
Yes.
To try and hit a winner. But now that Alan's here, Alan's literally like, Holly, I want you to do the opposite.
Yeah.
So for me, training's been quite difficult the last couple of months, because I'm just trying to rally more, get fitter, just
work on your stamina, because if anybody knows that you have that weakness, especially now you've been on here saying that, they're gonna make you run like they're gonna make you run like stink. But I think you have to. It's the balance, isn't it? You have to be creativity, and you've got to be fit as well. And it just cannot happen. You can't be in a game of singles and where you can't breathe, right? You're standing there at the tee and they're waiting to serve. You can't be going stand at the right hand side, curled in half, going. You just can't. It just can't happen. So you've just got to do it. You've got to work at being as fit as you can and stop eating pizzas. Probably not good for you working in Domino's, to be fair. It's
no, it's not.
Probably a bit of temptation, but I suppose it is what it is, isn't it? Do you remember your first ever tournament and trophy?
Ooh, I think my first tournament was Pennycook under 11.
Was that cool?
If I remember correctly, but I think I won it.
Pennycook under 11. So there was a lot of travel.
Yeah.
Like most weeks in the season, you travel. Your parents would be taking you in.
Yeah, they were taking me everywhere, all across Scotland, just to try and play these tournaments. Because I'm a young kid.
Yes.
I'm wanting to just go out there, play badminton. At the time, I'm not really thinking of the outcome, but I'm very, very competitive. So when I was younger, I hated losing.
Yes.
So I think that's what also drove me to be so aggressive, in competitions, training. Just the never give up attitude when I was younger. I think when I was younger, I was definitely more determined. I'm trying to think of a better word to describe it. Now I'm a bit more lackadaisical.
Yeah, okay.
I've got a bit too comfortable, and I think it's backfired a little bit.
Because that passion and drive's kind of moved on a bit. I guess you just need to. Yeah. I guess singles and doubles is very different, right? In mentality, right? It is different, isn't it? The way the far more creative, far more thoughtful, and it's a lot faster. Probably is it doubles? It probably is.
Yeah, doubles is faster, but obviously singles is about shot quality, the movements, making your opponent move the full distance, twisting and turning them. Where doubles is just kind of the opposite, try to find the gap.
Yeah. And it's not easy to find the gap.
It's not easy to find the gap.
It astonishes me. I watch it when you watch the All England and stuff like that, and the Japanese pair that the men's doubles, the shuttle won't go down. It won't stay down.
It's crazy how long the rallies are.
But how can they pick it off the ground? That's what amazes me. Is the defence was just why can't you finish it? Why can't you? They can just play rallies. There's one rally with 75 shots. It's like one rally. It's like what is that'd be me.
And people don't actually realise how fast the men are hitting it as well on the smashes and the drives. They have no idea when you watch it on TV. It looks slow, but then when you see it in person, it's like, wow, this is so much quicker than what I expected. Which makes it even more impressive that the doubles guys can get all these shots back and then skate them off the floor to then hitting a net kill, which is madness.
What do you think of I was thinking about exhibition kind of. I think like people I know that play badminton, a lot of people I know that play badminton are quite exhibitionist people. They're like a show, and they actually interviewed a guy, Colin Hepburn, and he's in his 70s actually, but he's taken it up in his 50s, and he was senior vet kind of player for Scotland. Actually did really well considering he took it up in his 40s. Anyway, he was a musician. So when I said to him at the end, I said, "What is it you love about badminton?" He says, "It's the exhibition of it." He says, "It's everybody looking at you. You know, everybody looking at you, the focus, and trying to make the game as good as you can, make everybody saying, 'Wow, that's really impressive.'" So it got me thinking about COVID, right? And the fact that there's nobody in the halls, and how would that affect, you know, you're playing in a tournament. So when you're playing somewhere and there's nobody there looking or watching, you think, yeah, that exhibition is gone. Are you quite an exhibitionist? Do you play best when there's crowds and people? What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think I'm an expeditionist, to be honest.
Yes.
I like showing off.
Yes,
I
me
like
too.
I like showing people what I can do.
Yes.
And it's just good to have people watching, cheering. It's just a much better atmosphere and much better vibes. Like
it's a big show off. It is a show off. It sounds bad, but it is a show off. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, like sport is entertainment at the end of the day.
Yes.
Like that's the way I think of it. Like you're putting on a show for people.
Yeah. And when there's nobody there, and what do you think of that when there's nobody there? When you go to these tournaments, there's nobody there. How has that been?
It's quite tough to get yourself going,
yes,
to motivate yourself, because when you win a point, it's just silence.
Yeah, you might as well be in a hall training.
Yeah, it's literally what it's like. It feels like a training match, to be honest, but I've actually not had that many matches so far where it's been quite no one in the hall, because obviously I've not had any competitions. So it'd be a bit weird, I think, to experience it, because I remember I watched I think it was the tennis, and the tennis players didn't like it because obviously the atmosphere in tennis is crazy. Like it can make or break a tennis match, especially if the crowd are like booing you, cheering you on, like spurring you on. It's just like you bounce off the crowd. Yeah. If they give you good energy, you give the good energy back. So I think COVID has definitely affected the kind of entertainment side of sports.
Yeah, I don't know how they. Obviously, it's going to come to an end, and it'll just open up again. Hopefully, and that'll be that. I watched the New York Open, and there was like the opening rounds. What they said was at the beginning there was nobody there, and then what happened is when people kind of went through, the bubble got bigger. Effectively, the people that were, you know, when you've played and you've been knocked out, they allowed people to stay and watch. So because they'd been in the bubble in the hotel, basically at the start everybody was playing on separate courts, all the rest of it went on, and then as they got knocked out, they allowed them to stay on and become the audience, and that was quite good actually. But the start was I mean the stadium takes 50,000 people, and there was about 20 or something. It was incredible. And I don't know if you saw it. They had headphones on, and it was so quiet. They actually had headphones and microphones on, and in between the sets, they were sitting back in their seat, and as soon as they sat down the set, they put their headphones on and start talking to the what do you call them? The commentator in between the games, because there was so little noise they could actually talk. They would ask them a question. What do you think of that? Well, I was quite happy with it, but such and such, because there was no noise from the crowds.
Yeah, just
total silence. It was sorry. Back to the question. I'm too distracted. I'm sorry. So singles. My next question is: what's your most successful and favourite event? Singles, mixed doubles. What do you think of? Obviously, it was singles to start, and do you still love singles? Realistically,
I still love it, but can I get into that point where I'm thinking, can I have more success in doubles?
I think that's a given. I think that's a given.
I think it's for me recently, because of the results I've been getting, considering I haven't even trained the doubles discipline, shows that maybe I do have more of a potential in the doubles side of it. But for me, it's extremely hard to let go of singles. Like I had this conversation with Ingo about a month or two ago about if I would want to make the transition to try and start a new partnership, to see what would happen if I could commit to it. But then by the end, I was just like, I don't think I can commit to this. Like singles will always have a place in my heart.
Of course.
So well, like it's the event I started with. I've had success in it. It's just hard to describe the feeling when you just can't let go of it. Yeah. Like I know I should, but I don't think you should. I don't think you should. I think if you're going to go for it,
I mean, I don't know. I'm not a coach, right? But I think if you're going to go for it, you should go for it. Like proper, hardcore, commit to it, fitness. Just get yourself in the best shape you could possibly. I know it's hard. Possible get. And then just give it your last. Jordan Hart, if you watch her interviews, she's talking a lot recently, right, on media and on her channel and stuff. And she's going through a thing with Poland and all that stuff. But she had a conversation with Steve Butler, her coach, and he said, "Okay, you've just got to decide, right? If you think you've given all that you can to singles, have you given all that you can to singles? And if the answer is yes, then you've got to find something else. Or if the answer is no, then you've got to properly go for it." And that's what she's had to do. And she's in Poland and all that stuff. But she had that conscious decision. What are you going to do? Are you going to really, really, really try as hard as you possibly can to get as good as you possibly can be? And then, I think you've got that. You can do that. But it is commitment. You look how much coaching, how much training these guys do, and fitness, and But you've just got to have a
definitely.
Yeah. Just give yourself a rocket. That's what you need. Just give yourself a rocket.
I know.
Who's your main competition growing up?
My good friend Julie McPherson.
Oh, is she?
So I think obviously Julie's a year older than me. So she was like the top dog for years and years with the Morrison twins from Lanarkshire. So she was always competing with them, and no one else was really coming through. And then obviously once Tommy passed me over, like Ray started coaching me, Ray Stevens.
Really, yeah.
And then I think at that point I started breaking through. They were like, who is this younger person coming through? And then ever since I kind of caught up with them, it was always me, Julie, final. I've lost count how many times I've played Julie in the final of a singles tournament or doubles tournament. It's just, and then the funny thing is they put us together to like partner each other one year, and it just felt weird because we've been through the years competing against each other, that we're now competing with each other.
Yeah.
So I definitely say Julie's was my toughest competition throughout my junior years.
Did you win?
Definitely. I don't think... I'd say 50-50. She won a lot at the start, but I think towards the end I was catching her. I don't know what she'd say on that, but yeah, I think it would definitely be Julie. She was the only one that was really...
So she's gotten on to doubles, hasn't she? She's more into doubles and mixed now, right?
Yeah, doubles and mixed.
Yeah.
She's had quite a lot of success. She had a really good match. The Commonwealth Games against the Indian, was it the Malaysian? I can't remember what pair it was. But her and Adam had a really good match. And I think that's when, after that match, they decided, I think we'll have to take this mixed further. Because they've got great potential, but Julie was always a really good singles player, very, very consistent, doesn't make any mistakes, doesn't really show any emotion, to be honest. Yeah. You can't really tell if she's happy, if she's sad. I
wish I was like that. I wish I was like that when I play against people that, I gave it all away in my face and my body language, and somebody would say there's nothing more frustrating than playing with somebody with a poker face that you think, this guy's not even bothered. That's the world's worst situation for me. I am absolutely busting it, and I'll be playing against somebody who,
it's frustrating because you want to see emotion in their face. Like if I'm annoyed, people can see I'm annoyed. But with other people, you're like, why aren't you?
But don't you wish you were like that?
Give me something.
Don't you wish you were like that? I wish I was like that. Yeah.
I do and I don't, because I think you're seeing the true emotion coming out.
But I don't think they don't have it.
If you just hide it.
I don't think they don't have it. I just think they're not showing it. I don't think they don't feel it. But I just think they're very, very good at not showing it. I think that's the difference, is that they have it and they feel it, but they just don't want to show it. Somebody's told them sometimes, don't let them know that you're up against it. Don't let them know that you're riled. Don't let them know that you're such and such. Just calm as you like, I
think it's just quite robotic though.
Yeah, of course it is.
It's not natural. No. Like for me, everything's about being natural. If you're upset, show you're upset. But obviously, we've been told on numerous occasions, do not show your opponent that you're tired, you're frustrated, because it annoys your opponent more.
But if you're playing against somebody and they're doing that, what are you like? You take advantage of it as well. Well, I've got them now.
Yeah,
isn't it? I've got them now.
Yeah, of course. You just try and wind them up as well. If you know someone's annoyed, you just got to keep digging at them.
Love it.
It's just, I know, it's just competitive side coming out.
Yeah, it's such a good game. So, okay, you've been on for, God, it's been ages. An hour? An hour. So, I think I asked this of Martin Campbell. If somebody said to you, you go to coaching twice a day, do you play socially at all? No. Do you ever go for a laugh to the badminton? Do you ever go and book a court and go for a laugh with your mates?
No.
When was the last time you done that? If one of your mates said to you that isn't a badminton player saying, Holly, any chance we could go and book a court and go and play some badminton, would you go?
Yeah, I would go. Because this is quite a funny story. When all my friends, they have like boyfriends now, and I kid you not, they all say I could beat you at badminton, Holly. I was so good in higher PE.
Of course.
And I'm saying, let's go book a court then. I'll see how good you are. And then they talk the talk, but they can't walk the walk. Like they just can't. They act all big shot, and then they come down to saying, I'll go and play at the sports centre tomorrow. Oh no. Nah, I don't want to play now. But I think the only time I'd book a court socially is with my friends.
Yeah.
Like they played it in school. Like, they're not really into it.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm doing it twice a day. Why would I want to go and play socially at the end of a long day training?
I agree.
If you know what I mean, like there's more things to do than play badminton. And my friends who don't play badminton, they know. Like I rarely discuss badminton with them because they know I'm doing it all the time, and I barely get to see them. So when I see them, I don't see the point in talking about badminton. There's other things to life than badminton.
Boyfriends, all that shenanigans. I get all that, but I think it's for the laugh of it, maybe ground you a little bit. And do you ever get a holiday?
Mm-hmm.
How do you get a break?
We get a 2-week break in summer, and I think we get 1 or 2 weeks at Christmas. But last Christmas I took a month holiday. Yeah, I told the coaches I'd already booked my flight to Australia.
Oh, I see.
Because
that was Australia.
I was having quite a little bit of a down period. I wasn't performing well in the last 3 or 4 tournaments towards the end of the year. And then the coaches agreed, because we had Uber Cup coming up in February, the agreement was I would still go if I maintained my fitness well in Australia.
I see.
And then I got a fitness test when I came back, and they were satisfied at the level that I stayed at. Good. So I managed to play the Uber Cup, and we obviously won that historic bronze.
Yeah, amazing.
Which was unbelievable. But I didn't even know we'd won bronze, because I became ill on the day of the quarterfinals. Like, I was bedbound, I was really bad, and I fell asleep. I went back to the hotel, fell asleep, and I woke up, my phone kept vibrating. I was like, what's all these messages? I had to scroll through like hundreds of messages. Congratulations, girls, congratulations, like so buzzing, so proud of you. And I was like, what's just happened? And then they phoned me like, we've won bronze. I couldn't believe it. Like, it was such a weird trip because there was only 6 of us in Ingo, and 3 of us fell ill.
Really?
Including and Ingo, so there was 4 of us, so there was only really 2 or 3 of us left to perform. I think we all caught, I know Kira was the first one to fall. I don't know if she had food poisoning or what it was, but she was ill first day, and then it was me, then it was Ingo, then it was Eleanor. So I don't know, apparently it was the hotel, the cleanliness of the hotel, but I don't know. But it was such a weird tournament because so much had happened, and we'd been put through the ringer pretty much, and then we came out with this bronze.
Amazing.
It was amazing. So I think that is definitely my biggest achievement, is the European bronze.
Do you like travelling to play?
Yeah, I absolutely love it.
Do you?
It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. Like, you're travelling the world and also doing something you love.
Let me ask you a question. I've tried to get my badminton racket into a case and it doesn't fit.
Yeah, you can't put it on his hand luggage anyway because it's classed as a weapon.
No.
Classed as a weapon.
So has it got to go in like sports luggage at 70 quid?
Yeah, you've got to check in a bag. Oh, it's a killer. Like, we could easily get our stuff in hand luggage, but it's not allowed because they deem rackets as a weapon.
Wow.
Because obviously if you hit someone with a racket, that's going to hurt.
You'd say that with anything. Take your shoes off.
I know,
you know?
but they just see it as
of course.
sporting goods weapon, so you've got to check it.
I think it's a money maker. I think it's a £70 money maker. It's like, I mean, golf clubs, you understand, right? Golf clubs, obviously, it's a weapon, but they're £70 because we went to Portugal and went to Ireland, and the golf clubs cost as much as me in a seat. It was crazy.
Oh,
you know?
Like you can get a seat sometimes for £6 of Ryanair or something like that, and in the bag's £50-60. Daylight robbery, so it is.
So, your favourite racket? What do you play? Ashaway you've got now? No, you got Forzas.
No, I've got Forza now. I've been sponsored with Forza for 9 years.
Wow.
10
How does
years.
that work? Do you get a new racket every year? Every what?
So pretty much we get sent a catalogue out of the new collection.
Cool.
And then our sponsorship man is Ryan Parsons, Steve Butler's nephew.
Right, is that right?
And he'll just send us out a form to say, look, Collie, like put in your order what you want. But you don't always have to choose the newest stuff. Like, it's totally up to you.
Really?
They don't put any pressure on you to wear any of the new stuff, get the newest rackets. But because I don't change rackets so often, mine get discontinued. So they stop making them, and then it forces you to get a new, like the same racket but a different colour.
Yes.
So, but it's very, very good having a sponsorship. It makes your life a lot easier.
That's nice, isn't it?
It saves you a hell of a lot of money.
How often do you break your strings?
For me, I'd probably say maybe twice a week, 3 times a week. Not that much.
What do you mean not that much?
Yeah.
Twice or 3 times a week?
Like some of the boys can break 2 or 3 rackets in a session.
Really? And how?
I think it also depends.
Go on.
I think it depends on obviously what string you use, how like thick or thin it is, and your tension, and obviously how hard you hit it.
What is your tension?
Mine was 28, and I used BG80 power.
Yeah, me too. What colour?
Power.
What colour?
The orange.
Orange.
I shouldn't be saying that because I'm a Forza player, but I do use Yonex string.
It's the Forza make string.
They do, but I've never really used it.
They'll have it. I would imagine they'll have an equivalent. But everybody that does stringing for people, most of them have. You know, they mostly have Yonex string, don't they? I don't know. I don't know how that works.
My dad does own my string.
Does he?
He bought a big, massive electronic machine years ago.
Did he?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I can just cut my strings whenever I want.
Do you remember when I was? You wouldn't remember this. When I grew up, if you broke a string, they would fix that string.
Or they just do like the one
string repair. Have you ever seen that before? Or one string repair? Wow.
I have. They still do that, I think.
No.
But
nobody's ever offered to me.
It's because they can get more money out of you by restringing the full racket.
Big licks, big time. But I definitely is not going to hold the tension, is it? And sorry, I held you up enough. Your favourite event now? We've covered that. Singles or doubles, competitive. Do you feel as competitive now as when you first started? There's a question.
No.
Do you not?
I don't.
That's a very honest answer. You don't feel as competitive now as you did when you first started. And what's changed in that? What is that? Just a life of experience of playing and losing and winning, and
I think it is just the whole experience has been constant ups and downs, and just there's been so many times that I've just thought I can't come back from this, and just completely lost motivation. Like, I've never experienced so much like stress and pain over the last year that I have in my whole entire life. Like, I thought I was going to honestly pack it in.
Really?
And this time last year, roughly, I had such a good start to the year. Obviously, I won the Nationals my first time after being in the final 3 times against Kirsty. And then we won that bronze. And then all of a sudden, I just feel like it got taken away from me. And I started to hate the sport.
Did you?
I really started to hate it. I didn't want to be around anyone in there. Like, it upsets me speaking about the situation. Mm-hmm. But like, obviously not many people know about it, and I don't really like going into too much.
No, of course. No, I understand. No, of course it is. But the one thing to remember is you're still very young, right? You've still got plenty of aptitude to get fitter, get stronger, to work on yourself and work on your head space, and you can still be amazing. Yeah, I mean, God, you're 22. I was having a conversation with Nafia, who's in Java, and she's 24. I don't know if you watched that. I've got a group in Indonesia, an Indonesian group of it, which is like a it's a centre effectively for badminton, and they're ranging from 10 up to the coach is 24 and 25, Nafira and Dimas, and she's 24 and she's like, no, I can't be a player anymore. I'm just a coach now. I want to travel and go and be a coach somewhere. And I think, you're 24. She's 24.
Yeah, it's young.
You know, how old's Kirsty?
I don't want to say too old in case
she's older. She's a lot older than 22, but
right? I'm gonna go for 27.
Yeah, well, there you are. You've got 5 years of here. You've got 5 years.
27. Yeah.
Anyway, it's awesome. So, okay, there's a time for a question like, what is it you love about badminton that's different from other sports? Why do you think you loved badminton when you first started? And what is it about it, do you think? There's a question. I know that you're maybe out of love with it at the moment, but what, if you could remember that?
That's actually quite a tough question. No one's ever asked me that before. What do I love about badminton?
When you first started, I'm thinking about when you first started, right? What is it? I mean, you had the soft tennis and then you played the badminton, and what was that? What was it that you got? Obviously, you liked winning, and it sounds like you like the exhibition of it, of people looking, and the bigger the stage, the better you perform. Would you think? The more people there are, the more people that are watching is better.
I think it was just something different. I was just a bit intrigued as to like, what's this sport? Learning the different shots, like everything about it was just so interesting, I thought. And I think that's why I fell in love with it from a young age. I fell in love with it because I was intrigued. It was keeping me on my toes. I was constantly learning, and then when I started getting good at it, it made me realise, okay, I understand now why I love this sport. But I think to put it into words, it's quite difficult to explain why and how I love it.
You've just done it very well.
I just love the sport. Like, I think obviously the people, obviously our training group's quite a tight knit group, and everyone gets along. So I think that makes it 10 times better. Like, some countries where like absolutely hate each other, and it's like dog eat dog. But over here, it's like we're all friends. Like, we could all be out together, socialising, on holiday together. So it's like a second family, to be honest. It's like brothers and sisters I've never had.
Yeah, brilliant.
So
that's brilliant. Thank you very much, Holly. You've done yourself proud. The time is now. We've been at it for an hour and 10 minutes. That wasn't the plan, was it? Thanks very much. Right, that was brilliant. You'll see it online.
No worries. Thanks very much, Mark, for having me.
That's been awesome. If you could share it, that'd be great. And hopefully your pals will all see it, Julie and stuff like that, and Adam and all that stuff. And get them all.
Julie she'll probably end up sending me a message saying, "Holly, I beat you more than 50%," something stupid like that.
Right, we'll keep in touch. Right, take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Holly. Bye.
Bye.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Yeah, it is. Oh, God. Thank you very much for watching, Holly, you all, for your honesty and candour. That was really interesting, actually, isn't it? So anyway, I hope you enjoyed. If you could please subscribe to the channel. I've got a fancy new effect which I'm dying to play with, which goes like this, which I thought was pretty cool. Subscribe to the channel. We're now on. Obviously, we've got the YouTube, we've got Twitch, which is the live aspect, so you can see all the interviews live on the YouTube channel. Anchor's podcasts for owned by Spotify, actually, but all the Apple podcasts, most podcast providers, if you search for Talk Badminton, you'll find all of our interviews. So thank you for watching. I hope you have a great afternoon. 5 o'clock we have Tim Willis from Sweden, which will be cool, all about stringing. Cool. Have a great day. We'll see you later.